He was worried about happiness in life and being fulfilled, and that money would come. He was already like so much smarter than me.
It's very easy for us to get caught up in our personal standards, and then for our sons or our loved ones to like really try to drive them hard to that standard, but also understanding how to do that with grace. It doesn't matter how good you are by yourself, the right woman will make you better than you could ever be.
What's up, brothers? Welcome to the Beardsmen. My name is Spencer.
My name is Mink.
And we're your hosts today. You know, Mink and I have been best friends for about 20 years, and we've been having conversations around what it means to be a man in the world today. And we thought, you know what? Why don't we just hit the record button and share these conversations and bring on incredible guests to expand our perspective? And that's what we're here to do today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We got Bob Willett in the house. Bob, what's up, man? Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited about this conversation for a lot of reasons. One, your story, literally like grassroots. You are a trainer of collegiate and professional athletes. You won a national championship yourself as an athlete. Married 35 years, multiple businesses. But more than anything, you're just like a humble and hungry dude. And I feel like it's been really exciting to get to know you over the last few months and chat. You got an epic beard. But beyond that, just excited to chop it up. And like Spence said, you know, we have been fascinated since we met at 19 and 20 years old. Like, what does it actually mean to be a man? How do we be the best men that we can be? How do we make sure that we are doing the right things, that we are maximizing the opportunities that we had? I literally just had one of our listeners DM me a couple days ago, and he's like, hey, you know, you guys are always talking about how do you, like doing what you know you need to do, doing the right things, taking advantage of opportunities. But how do you know if you are doing the right things? How do you know if you are maximizing your opportunities? Like, how do you tell? How do you know? And I told him flat out, I'm like, I don't think you really do. And I said, I think there's two ways to do it. The first way is, are you living up to the standards that you have set for yourself? The values and the standards. And then in terms of external, like what's the feedback you're getting? Do you have a great relationship with your wife? Do you have a good relationship with your kids? How's your financial situation? And I said, I think it's the only way to really know is through a little bit of self-reflection, but you have some internal standards and you know, values that you should live your life by. And then you have some external results. And I think you kind of have to triangulate, like, is it working? Is it not working? But you've lived a couple different lives, corporate America, let everything go, started your own business. What inspired the journey? And maybe this is just diving right into it, but from the beginning, but like, as you're going through these different experiences, how do you know if you're on the right path? And how do you know if you're seizing or taking advantage of the right opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think one of the mistakes that a lot of us make is comparing now more than ever.
It's easy to.
You know, it is, like with social media. And so if you're just gauging off of that, I think you're going to struggle and it's not going to be enough. You're not going to be able to see how the chart grows for yourself. So I think it's just asking internal questions and like, is there growth from day to day, week to week, year to year, whatever that might be. And I know for myself early on, growing up with, like, let's just say, like at age 12 is when my dad got some heart disease and the money just got turned off. And it wasn't gradual. It was like literally overnight. And it was a long story why that was, but it was for health reasons on his side. And when that happened, that next kind of 6-8 years of my life, not really having just money and nice things and all of that, that when I finally got out of college, I couldn't wait to get out of college, which looking back, I wish, because my best years, I enjoyed high school and everything. But once I got to college, I was playing ball. As soon as we won that national championship, I still had eligibility left. And I could not wait to go to work, to get a new car, to get a new house, to provide for, to get married to my high school sweetheart at the time. And we were most likely to get married in the yearbook. All of that.
Got it right.
And they got it right. There you go. And for years, it was that. It was, okay, all the things that I didn't have, I'm going to surround myself with them. So let's make sure we got 3 cars in the driveway. Let's make sure the kids literally have everything. Let's make sure there's a cool basketball court in the backyard, all of that. But the entire time, I was in an office working, or a home office working. At the time, I was selling enterprise software. I was going from company to company, just doing startups and running Canada or Pacific Northwest for these companies, and stressed out all the time because I was working for someone else. And the only thing I was really looking forward to is that kind of yubba dubba do time when it was like, okay, this is finished, and now I can go do basketball academies at night. And so then I'd go 3-4 hours every night, and I would train players for a club, and that's when I was truly happy. The challenge with that is it's all day. You never turn it off. And even when I'm on the court, I'm still kind of thinking about this. And so it came to a point where the rubber met the road, and I'm like, something's got to give here. And that's when I decided to put aside this and focus on player development. And
When you say rubber hit the road,
Yeah.
what was it that actually tilted, and how old were you? Because I feel like a lot of guys can relate to this, and it's like you're pursuing whatever that end destination is, and if you're a driver of any sorts, it's like it's never enough.
Yeah, I was
right?
about 35.
About 35.
So, I was, I finished college. I got married at 21, and I worked nonstop, 12, 14 hours a day, not including basketball trainings that entire time.
Yeah.
We didn't travel. The only traveling we'd do things like Cayman Islands or Hawaii or something with the company, like winning some type of award, but everything was work.
Yeah.
And so it was right around 35 is where my wife and I just kind of had to come to Jesus around just being happy and being in the moment. And I do feel for my oldest son that, he's grown us, so we have great conversations. We're best friends, both my sons and I, and we're better friends today than we were, and I'm a better dad today
That's cool.
than I was when they were little. Yeah, I was playing ball with them and I was doing all of the things, but kids are smart and they know when you're not 100% there in the moment.
They see
for
everything.
They
see
absorb
everything.
Everything. And so, and I know that I'm a better dad now because they tell me. We have the type of relationship where they say it.
Yeah.
And I learn more from them now than they learn from me, obviously. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's
That's
awesome.
what you want.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you breezed over that college part for a minute, but winning a national championship as a college basketball player is a really big deal.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, and where did that love for basketball come from? We were talking a little bit off camera, and you were saying, you grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
Everybody was outside skating around, hitting a puck, and you were like, damn, this is cold. I'm going to go inside and play ball.
Yeah, my pops put me in hockey at a very young age, and they didn't have rinks like they do now indoor. Like, they had the odd indoor one, but everything was outdoor. And I remember, like, a few weekends in a row, it was minus 25, minus 30 Celsius.
Oh.
And I'm like 6, 7 years old, 8 years old out there, and I was hating it. It just wasn't for me. And it was right around 9, 10 years old, they were playing Lakers games. Like, back then in Canada, you'd see Lakers games, Boston games, 76er games, full stop. Like, that's all they kind of showed. And for obvious reasons, you watch the Lakers once, like, it's like, okay, well, this is showtime. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just being introduced to the sport, this is wild. Like, and
who was on the roster then? Like,
Magic, Cooper, Byron Scott, Cream, like, and ironically, like, at a kind of age 10 to 12, my favorite player wasn't like everyone thinks it'd be Magic or whatever. It was Byron Scott. And I would go outside. My dad hooked up a hoop for me and kind of just rigged it up. And I would just shovel if it was wintertime. It's those old stories. I'd shovel an area to shoot around and just pretend that Byron Scott was guarding me. And that's how I kind of fell in love with it. And back then, club basketball and AU basketball wasn't really a thing, or wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Now it's kids
Everywhere.
play almost too much. It's
It's year round, it's nonstop.
It's year round,
travel.
Yeah, so back then you played middle school, then you played like for the provincial team. For here it'd be like some type of a state team.
Okay.
And then you could play like junior national team. And so the rest is kind of history. I just kind of grew and fell in love with it. I was a late bloomer. I was 5'9" in grade 10.
Okay.
I'm 6'4" now,
Yeah.
so I was a point guard. So up until about 11th grade, and then kind of moved over to the shooting guard position.
Yeah.
And I played college in Edmonton, Alberta. Naiduk was the college. And we were the first ones for that college to ever win a national championship, 88, 89.
That's
Making
awesome.
history.
And so I kind of brought it to your question. It was unreal. It was one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah.
And winning was like an after, like thought, like that was great. It was with those 11 other pros, buddies, that 6 a.m. practices, again at 4:30, towel drills where like you had to be down, like cleaning the entire floor, like running it out, like fighting every day in the locker room, on the court for position against your buddies, and then hugging it out afterwards. They became, some of my closest friends. Like when I got married, they were over at my house every single day. Like they were, and they were at the wedding. They were the ones that cost us probably an extra $5,000.
Eating all your food, and drinking all your booze.
Yeah, but
just wanted to celebrate you, bro.
that's a brotherhood, right?
Totally.
It was unbelievable, and they've all experienced tremendous success in their own right, like right from fire department to business to you name it, and a lot of it just goes back to the sacrifices you learn to make as an athlete. If I do this, this, and this, one day I'll get this. Well, that's the same as business. It's the same as relationships. It's the same. Right? And so sport is cool. I don't care what sport it is, but basketball is definitely a love.
Yeah. What are a couple of the lessons that you learned as an athlete, not necessarily as a trainer or a coach, but back in your playing days that you have applied throughout your entire life?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is manage your manager. So you got to manage your coach, and you got to manage what their expectations are, and you have to be able to fit within how they perceive you as a player, and then every once in a while shake them up a little bit, like I worked on this, this, and this, but going rogue doesn't work. And so that was kind of one of the number one things that I transferred into business immediately. I wasn't the sharpest one as far as like really being focused in school and whatnot, but to me, everything that I learned in sport was just transferable over to business. It was simple to me. And I always say to people, it's like, you guys can, you hooped, so there you go. But to me, I've always said basketball is like the hardest sport in the world. I mean, the hoop is 10 feet high. It's only the size of 2 basketballs. The best athletes, so you got 7-footers that can handle the ball now. They can D you up with like 8'2" wingspans and stuff, and 48-inch verticals, and you're running full speed. You can stop on a dime at 30, 20 feet, 15 feet, whatever it might be. And defenders are getting smarter and wiser and bigger and stronger, and you got to figure out how to score. All of those things. Like if you can hoop at a high level, you can do anything. So like talking to a CEO or a CFO or a CIO, when I'm 23 years old and walking into a boardroom, it was like I wasn't not confident. But it wasn't like I had the background in that. It was just like, well, you know who I am? Like I'm a basketball player, won a national championship. Like I'm confident. So to me, that was probably one of the biggest things that I saw right away with business, how it just transferred into business. Now, did I recognize in real time that was happening? Probably not. Like it was more look back and it's like, why did I have that success early on? It's all relative to success, but why was I so successful if like my dad wasn't a business guy or whatever it might be? So I just equated it to basketball. And then probably the next one would be just like injuries, like being able to understand how to like kind of persevere and understand that how important a why is in life. Like even before it was cool to say why, like this is a long time ago. This is, late 80s. Like I understood that when the going gets tough, I could always just kind of go back and look at and ask myself the question of why am I doing this? Right? Like I'm pissed off at the coach, or I'm pissed off because, I tore something or whatever. It's like, it's not the end of the world because I knew why I was doing it. Like my why kept me awake at night and woke me up in the morning. Like basketball was just kind of everything to me when I played. And so that was transferable as well, because then when I got married and started having kids, your why evolves.
Changes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, how did I get up every day and like grind and provide and do all of those things? You kept going back to that why. And it got to a point where, like, ironically, I wear it on my band, why, what, how. And I do this with our athletes. And I first walked the walk with myself, then I shared it with my family as they were growing up. And now kids, like you guys said, nowadays is a little bit different for a young man or a young woman to be growing up because of all the outside influences that are going on. I can't even imagine, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so for me, I walk them through, I just break it down to 3 words. Why do you play basketball? What do you want to accomplish, short-term, long-term? And how are you going to do that? And often they'll start with, well, because I love basketball. Okay, well, what do you want to accomplish long-term? Well, I want to be a Division I player. Well, you better do more than just love basketball.
Yeah.
It better be like everything to you. And very similar to like what I said, is keep you awake at night and wake you up in the morning. And how are you going to accomplish that? Because the bullseye across the room is too far away to hit it from here. It's like those small steps that you need to take daily. Work on your body, preventative injury. For every minute, I always tell players, for every minute you spend on the court, spend on your body as well. Watch game film. Obviously, you got to be training on a daily basis and all of that stuff. So I would say those are all of the kind of long answer to your question, but like that's all the things that kind of transferred over from basketball into my life.
Well, I know both of us played sports growing up, and I look back on it, and I think it is where I first learned how to be successful at anything. You know, like growing up, I had a really abusive alcoholic father. Okay. And so my escape was sports, and particularly basketball. And so I had this really amazing high school basketball coach, former military guy, was fucking a drill sergeant, made us run our asses off. Yeah. But, you know, he had so much like little wisdoms. And I remember one year, it was my sophomore year, and I made the varsity team, and I was like, Coach, what do I, like, how am I doing? What do I got to do? What do I need to learn on? And every day I was like on him. Okay, how do I need to improve here? What do I got to do here? Like, am I in the starting lineup yet? And one day he's like, Mink, do you control whether or not I play you? And I'm like, well, no, Coach. And he's like, what do you control? I was like, how hard I play? He's like, yeah. Just go do that and don't worry about anything else, because you can't worry about anything that you don't control. I think about that to this day. Like I'm obviously sharing it with you guys. And I remember there's this moment in my like very early basketball career. I'm same year, sophomore year. Yeah. Right. And I was cut the previous year because I wasn't that good. And so I just worked really hard, form shooting, hundreds of shots a day. And I remember that's why I was like so intense on making the team. Then I made it, and then I ended up becoming a starter. And I remember there's this moment we were playing against this team called Staten. Coach took me out of the game. I was having a really good game. And I sat on the bench and I was just like, how the fuck did I get here? And then in that moment, it was like, all those form shots you did, all that hard work you did, like you earned this by all of that hard work. And it was the first time in my life that I felt like I'd accomplished anything. And I instantly linked it to the work that I did when no one was watching. And so to your point of like that transferring over, I just inherently knew that if I wanted to be successful in anything, like the way that I did it before on the basketball court, was just working relentlessly. I'd go get the key from coach on the weekends. I'd be in there nights, mornings, whatever. And I just put in hours. So as I got into business when I was 25 and I didn't have any clue what I was doing, I was just like, I just have to put in the hours, you know, and I was smart enough to know I didn't know what I didn't know. And then I just threw myself into learning the things that I thought would get me closer to where I wanted to go. But it really was the experience of the microcosm of a game that allowed me to understand how to be successful in more of this like macro environment of the world.
It's funny because when you're playing on that team and you're that age, let's say you're 17 years old or whatever it might be, it's like your idea of long-term planning is like, what am I doing Friday night? Like you have no idea, like you don't, and not until you lived like a good part of your life is where you really understand that, okay, if I do this, this, and this, I'll get this one day. And that's, you just nailed it. Like, you did all this stuff in the dark, basically. Like, that's the saying, like, train in the dark. You did all this stuff to perform on the court, but that's the same as business, or it's the building blocks of marriage.
Any
of
relationship,
all
of everything.
Things. 100%, yeah. It's sacrifice. And I think that's the coolest thing to watch our athletes sacrifice.
Yeah.
And give up this to do this, and give up this to get this over here. And it's a small percentage that can actually, run that entire marathon and cross the goal line or whatever, all those sayings. Like, that's why it is a 1%er game.
Yeah.
1% of basketball players, for example, that play middle school, high school, go on in scholarship at the college level. 1%.
Yeah.
It's maybe 1 point something. Yeah.
I'd be curious your perspective on that shift, because like going back to when we were growing up, right? I feel like we probably all played multi-sports, and we're just now to your point, kids are literally devoted to one sport from a little tiny age, from 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And I'd be curious if you've seen a shift in the work ethic of the kids over your time in coaching, because I feel like observing a lot of the younger generation, maybe this is just not accurate, but it's like the work ethic and the willingness to put in the work is diminishing holistically. But then the standards and the work that actually needs to go in is actually increasing, because the people that are competing are putting in so much more work now and have access to so much more than we ever did. So it's like this inverse kind of relationship. It's like it requires more work now. So have you noticed any trends in our younger generation of the commitment, or are you working with athletes that like that's like the standard?
No, I mean, we see the whole gamut.
Yeah.
I think when we were younger, I'll just say we. I know I'm older than you guys, but we'll just for today in the podcast.
Look at you, bro. You look the same. More jacked than both of us. Look at you. Come on.
No. But I think back then you did truly play for the love of it.
Yeah.
Because the pressure of so maybe you wanted to scholarship, maybe you wanted to go through and like go to another level and then another level, but even playing at a college or going to a college, it didn't cost what it was cost now. It wasn't as competitive to get to that college. So a lot of it just kind of came down to if you trained or you were working on your game or you were playing every day, it was because you just loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then in 3 months, you loved a different sport because it was that time of year that you played a different sport and you loved that sport.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to a certain age, and then you kind of had to pick one or two. Like maybe in high school you played football and basketball, for example, or whatever it might be. Yeah. But now it's a whole family affair, but not in the right way. Like it's a family affair because everyone in the family is involved and probably have to be involved because of the commitment of sport. So if we're just talking about basketball, it's if you're a hooper, like a true hooper, you're not going on holidays. Like Christmas time, for example, that's the busiest time for tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I maybe out of the thousands of kids that I've trained on a regular basis, like say 3 years or longer, I've maybe got 10 or less that were good skiers, for example. Mm. So to be a good skier, you have to go constantly.
Yeah.
10 players out of thousands because they don't have the opportunity.
And they're athletes. So
they're
athletes. Like, capable physically.
Oh, your parents have a cabin at the lake? Well, like it's not anymore or not for you. You're not going there. It's like, so it's kind of shitty that way, like for families
do you
and
think
for
that's
kids.
good or bad?
Yeah,
for
no, it's bad.
I'm
It's
like,
terrible.
is that good or bad, right?
I'm a player development coach.
Yeah.
So if it was up to me, it'd be great if, and we have one of the largest businesses in the country, but it'd be great if it was just packed every single night and I had to even get more coaches than 4. But at the same time, it's wrong. Like they shouldn't be, they should be playing multiple sports up until at least the age of 14, I feel. First, mentally. Second, they're physically. If you have like every kid that we get has jumpers, knees, like patella issues. That wasn't a thing back then because you moved different every 3 months, playing different sports and whatnot. And then, I mean, you guys are just like Arizona State's right around the corner. It's $55,000 to go there, like after tax money.
Yep.
That doesn't include like if you're like a part of a sorority or part of like a group, or if it doesn't include like your food, it doesn't
Housing,
include,
meals, any
none
of those, books, any of that
none
stuff.
of it,
Yeah.
none of it. So that's why I'm saying it's a family affair now. So you got a kid that can't even imagine that they could go play college because basketball is a poor person's sport. It just is. These prices haven't gone down, so they want a good education. And nowadays it's different. School, like it's cool to be smart. It's cool to be a leader. It's cool to be a leader of men and all of those things. It's like the ones that aren't doing well in school kind of almost get picked on nowadays, I feel. And so, they're smart, they're killing it in school, but they're looking at some of these universities and colleges and they're like, I could never go there unless I scholarship. But there's only 12 spots for these scholarships. And look how competitive those spots are. And now it's even changed. I do a whole podcast on how it's changed, but there's NIL and stuff like that. And there's the portal, like there's thousands of kids every year that are transferring. So high school kids right now looking to play college, forget about it. Unless you're like just a top 1%er that's being recruited since you were in 9th, 10th grade, you're not going out your first year. You're going to a junior college, you're going to a prep school, you're going to a D2, and then you'll transfer, whatever it might be. So
wow,
it's terrible, to be honest. And I don't really see it getting better.
It seems like it's going the other way.
It's getting more competitive, especially like with NIL and stuff. Like, so kids are actually staying in college longer, so there's not as many one and dones going off to the NBA or going to play Europe because they can make way more money next year in college than they can in their rookie year or their rookie contract. So yeah, I don't know the answer other than the people that are in charge of these athletes for a few hours a day or whatnot is to help guide them and help take the pressure, help create a safe environment for them where they can make mistakes where like, and I'm not saying all parents, like I was a parent of a son, my son was one of the top point guards in California growing up and he played university ball and whatnot. And I mean, I'll tell you a story afterwards if you guys want to hear it about like how our relationship developed as him being an athlete and me being his trainer. But, at the end of the day, like right now, it's about letting the parents, if they can, just parent. And if they can, like be friends with them a little bit and whatnot, but to take a little bit more of a backseat. And so we have a good deal happening with our parents and our kids, but I've also been at this for 30 years. Yeah. So I put the foot down early and the parents respect it. And it ends up that we have an incredible relationship with our parents, with the athletes.
that's awesome.
But looking across the planet, it's disjointed and it's a problem and it's sad.
Okay, so on that, I have two very specific questions. The first one is for all the dads that are listening, that maybe they have kids that want to be in sports and they're go-getters and they want to champion their kids. What advice would you give them from a parenting standpoint to be most supportive to the kids?
I watched a ESPN show, let's say 15 years ago, and it had a bunch of different athletes, men and women from different sports, and it was asking them all these different questions. And you could tell how it was kind of funneling them to this one specific question, about, let's say, 25 minutes into the show. And it was, and it comes down to how our brain works. It's like when you're older, like my age, for example, when I look back as a kid, you either remember the really bad things that happen in your life, like you could smell the air, like you just remember them. You talk about pops, like I had some tough things happen when I was young. And then you remember the really good things, same thing. Everything else is just gray, like it's just kind of noise there that you don't really remember. And they asked what the worst thing growing up as a student athlete was when they were young. And then they just went from frame to frame, male, female, and they were all saying the car ride home. All of them. Wow. And my heart fucking dropped because I was one of those. I was one of those. Like I couldn't wait to close that door and my son in the back seat, and it's like, what was this? What was that? I thought we talked about this and everything. And
What's up, guys? Spence here, co-founder of Live Bearded, and we wanted to take a quick break to let you know that this show is sponsored by Live Bearded. Meek and I started Live Bearded back in 2016. We're on a mission to help beardsmen look, feel, and be their best. So if you find value out of the show, if you have a beard or know someone who does, do us a favor and share livebearded.com. Go to the website, check us out. We've got the best beard products money can buy. All right, guys, back to the show.
I think the best thing to tell the dads out there is like what happened to me. It's like it came to a head. We were in actually Portland, and we got in the car. We lost in the final championship round. I was actually coaching at the time, and I've only coached for a few years. I prefer the player development side, and then but I was coaching my own kid, which I'd never start them, and like I did all the things that I thought you were supposed to do, and be extra hard on them in front of everyone. It's all the things that you're not supposed to do. Just treat them like all the other athletes, or don't even coach your kid. How's that? But I remember that car ride home, the first hour, it was just me berating him. And he's just a young kid sitting in the back. And when it was his turn to talk, or when I took a breath, he's like, I don't want to play anymore. Like, he was smart enough to throw that gouge at me. And it worked. And we spent about 5 hours building the best relationship that I could ever imagine with a father-son.
Wow.
During that next 5 hours, we put a plan together, and we stuck to that plan his whole career from that point on. He was 12 years old, 13 years old. We decided never to talk in the car about it. We decided that after games that we stay at the game, and that he speaks first. He talks about that it's a conversation, that he talks about what he felt that he did really well, what he feels like he could still use some work on, where he might have dropped the ball in a few areas, and what's our plan moving forward, and did you have fun, was it enjoyable, all of those things. And I'm kind of summarizing it, but we literally put a checklist together, and it needed to evolve as well. Yeah. And it carried us right through. He was playing university across the country, and we'd get on the phone after. I'd watch him, on video if I had a chance, if I wasn't at work on the court, and we'd talk afterwards, and we would kind of go through that checklist. And I would feel myself slip a few times, and catch myself. I'm like, that's wrong. And, and the same thing, if even without sport, for my oldest, like I remember, he's incredibly bright individual. I mean, he's a teacher at a college, and he's had one of the #1 podcasts back when there was barely any podcasts way back in the day. And, he's editor of the school paper and all of these things. And I remember when he changed what he was going to take in university, and him and I were out for dinner, and I said to him, how are you going to monetize that? Well, he looked at me like I don't know, like it was the worst thing I ever could have said to him. And at first I didn't understand why. And then I had to take a step back and understand, who was I talking to? I was talking about this passionate young man that wasn't worried about how he's going to monetize. He was worried about happiness in life and being fulfilled, and that money would come. He was already like so much smarter than me, but yet so much younger. And so I, from both my sons, like, it doesn't matter if you're playing sport or not. It's just, it's incredible what these young men and women can actually,
it's incredible.
Yeah, educate us with.
Yeah. I want to go to the 5-hour conversation, because that's so fascinating to hear your ability to kind of check your ego, your wants and desires for your son, out of and you want the best for him, but to be able to stop and respond rather than react and have that escalate. For him to throw a jab of I don't want to play anymore, it could be like one of the worst things he says to you. Yeah. But in that moment, you're able to turn that. Like, what's the mindset? What are you thinking? How do you pull out that framework to even know how to have that conversation with your son at the time?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was, I'd have to put myself back in that time, but I think a lot of it was just thinking about myself as a kid, and like it's not, my parents weren't like all bought in. I didn't think my mom watched me play basketball once in my life. Just one time ever that she came to a game. I think my dad brought her. So it wasn't, to my parents, it was always like, you're going to just, they were surprised I even went to college. Like, they're like, you're going to go work, right? Like, and make money and whatnot. And so I think a lot of it was just, looking back as me as a kid, asking myself, like, as I'm hearing him, well, how would I want my relationship to be with my dad?
Wow.
If I was him, like knowing what I know today about the game of basketball, about the game of life and all of those things, if I was 13 again and I could have me as my dad, how would I want to be spoken to? How would I want to be spoken with? How would I want that relationship to flow? How would I want accountability? All of those things. And so all of that kind of came up in that 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, it was more just me soul searching and asking myself tough questions rather than asking him tough questions.
That's so powerful, dude. 100%.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. I think it's so easy to react in those moments, but that's the power of taking time to respond, process, self-reflect. And that was, sounds like that was a trajectory shift for the relationship with your son.
It was.
And that made you guys closer. To your point, it's like,
Yeah.
How incredible.
Well, to a point where we work 4 different businesses together,
insane.
which is
insane.
And we've had people say, like, you guys should write like a father-son book and all of that, because it is very unique.
Yeah.
Like, we don't like shove that down people's throat as far as like father-son training and whatnot. It's a very authentic, organic thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I don't even blow smoke about it, like he's better than I am. I've been doing this my whole life, and he's taken everything that he's learned his entire life watching me as a trainer, a player development coach, all of that. And then he uses a lot of the same philosophy, but with his own style, his own spin, his own, and I look back sometimes and he just takes over like camps or clinics, or we were just training the Japanese women's national team in Japan 2 weeks ago, and he just take over the whole gym, the whole court for hours on end. And it's pretty cool to actually sit back and see that, which is really neat. Yeah. I'm almost just a kind of along for the ride now. He's the one that's killing it. Yeah.
I think that's how it should be, right?
Absolutely. What you want.
Yeah.
He's taken what you've given him and he's building beyond it, which is really beautiful.
Man, that wasn't easy for a bit. For the first few years, like after he finished college and he was doing this full time, it was not easy as I was seeing him getting better and better and better. That's like for me to start taking steps back, because you feel like I don't want to lose my voice. I don't want to lose my brand. And then you remember, like, wait a minute, blink of an eye, I'm not even going to be here. Like, what is legacy?
What a blessing,
What is it?
Him.
Like, it's him.
It's him.
It's my 2 sons. Like, it's, and then it's all the athletes that we work with every day. Like, that's it. So.
The real question, though, can you still take them one-on-one on the court?
No, I can't. I'm not. I'm on TV. I say it and I get called out. There's no way. If I could share real quick on that. So we used to, when he was younger, we would play one-on-one all the time. And when he was younger, we'd play with rules. So I couldn't back him down or whatever the rules might be. Then it got to a point where it was just straight up. And we would play one-on-one probably 5 days a week during like, maybe before my sessions would start, or within certain sessions when they're doing one-on-one. It's like, okay, Noel and I will guard each other. I've had parents come up. We've had players come up. Are you guys going to be okay? Like, is the relationship good? Like, so yeah, we're close, but we respect each other so much around the game of basketball. We would go at each other. Now that's not why we stopped playing. We stopped playing just because I'm old. And I told you I was a point guard for the longest time, and then I grew more and whatnot. Yeah. He's a point guard, and he's quick as hell still. And I'm not trying to do that. I'd rather guard some of my own size.
Yeah. I joke my son's only a year and a half, and I'm like training hard with him watching just so I can delay the
Right,
time
right,
for him to
right.
beat me in anything.
Yeah.
Like I've got a few years. But
It's
I'm gonna let
definitely
it
bittersweet.
push it out as far as I can.
Yeah, it's bittersweet for sure.
I think just the whole conversation around fatherhood and how you show up, like I got emotional when you said that, because you said we remember the best times and the worst times.
Yep.
And I have a couple of those very deeply anchored to my experience with basketball.
Anchor, yeah.
And I think it's such a good thing for us to hear as men, again, especially if we're competitive, if we want to build shit, if we want to create stuff. It's very easy for us to get caught up in our personal standards, and then for our sons or our loved ones to like really try to drive them hard to that standard, but also understanding how to do that with grace. And I think the way that you reflected on what would I want in this moment if I was in his shoes, that
So
level
powerful.
of awareness and emotional intelligence is something I think all of us as men could aspire to. And one of the things Spence and I talk a lot about is, are we reacting or responding, right? And so often you get caught in the emotion and you react, which you shared very honestly, you did.
Sure.
But then you had the composure and the humility to step back and say, how would I want to respond if I was him? I think that's really, really beautiful. I said I had two questions for you. The second one is, you've told us this really incredible story of how you went college, left, went, got a job, worked in corporate America. You did maybe the smart and responsible thing, and you did very well at it.
Yeah.
But you still had this burning desire or passion, similar to like your son. Your son went after something, and you're like, how are you going to monetize this?
Yep.
Right? You probably had that thought for yourself in this world of basketball.
Yep.
And I think you did something that very few people are able and or have the opportunity to do, which is leave the safe and secure, certain financial job to create something that you are deeply passionate about. How did you do that?
Yeah, no different than what you guys did. And so the way I looked at it, it's like before you guys got involved and you built Live Bearded, did you know anything about beard products?
No?
No.
Right. So, but you knew enough about business.
A little bit. Yeah, both of us had a little bit of experience.
And did you have a beard at the time?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So for me, it's like I had this passion for basketball, and I knew at the years that I was doing it, let's call it part-time, so every night, weekends, I was on the court. I knew I was good at it. Like I knew, and it's funny because my style is evolved over time, but I've always built my player development style very similar to the conversation with myself on that car ride. I've always asked myself, like, if I was to do this all over again, I walked into the gym at 15, at 17, as a pro, whatever it might be, and I only had an hour and a half that day, how would I want to be trained?
Yeah.
If I know I'm coming back next day and the next day, what would the roadmap? Do I want a bunch of cones on the ground? Do I want different things? Or would I want more high IQ stuff? So I started building my philosophy and my style around basketball IQ and skill developing at the exact same time. So that was kind of a big part of what was going on over there. On the business side, I had been closing like multi-million-dollar deals. So I was selling enterprise software. So I'd sell software, like, for example, one company was integration software. So all like disparate systems that a corporation would have, from accounting packages to back-end systems, our software would go in and tie them all together. I knew nothing about software. And on purpose, year after year, I'd stay out of those meetings, and I was on the sales side. So we always say, like, salespeople are like good for ordering coffee and donuts and putting people together, but there is more to it. But it's relationship building, but to sell $5 million piece of software, you have to understand business enough. And so with my business background and my love for the game of basketball, plus feeling like, I was competitive at the time, so I'm thinking I'm one of the better ones walking the planet. And it wasn't as saturated back then either, the training business. So to me, it didn't feel as much like a leap. Yes, we had to make some adjustments, and we we actually moved. We moved to California because that was a hotbed of basketball. And I had already been going back and forth for years, doing camps and working with a few different trainers and stuff. But for me, it was like, okay, it really just came down to seeing my dad sick early. Am I going to wait to retire to be happy at what I'm doing all day? Or do we just do this right now?
Wow.
And I'm not really worried about the basketball side and building it because I understand business enough. Like I understand enough how to just show up on time, be there for the players 5-6 days a week, what we need to charge, what I'm worth, all of that, to be able to pay out like court fees and other trainers as it grows and everything. Like I understood the business model behind it. So I was confident on that side. The challenge that I do see for a lot of these younger people in their 20s and stuff that are trying to do what I do is either they're really good trainers, but they have no business background, so they kind of struggle there and kind of flop around a little bit, or they understand business to a degree, but they're trying to be a trainer and cut corners. Like they want to automatically just be an NBA trainer, like and rebound for people, as opposed to like grind it out and learn it. And just like what I asked you guys in the warehouse, like how many moves has it been? And you guys shared that story of this company. Like there is, and I just watched you the other day talk about that there was no shortcuts and just like the journey through it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just how business is built. Like, and so for me, it was kind of an easier transition than you may think.
Yeah.
Just because of the business background and everything. Yeah.
But you still had to have the belief
Oh, 100%.
and the confidence.
Yeah.
And then you had to have the buy-in. We haven't even talked about your wife yet, but married 35 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got the 2 kids together, but you had to have their support.
Yeah.
So I think you had a little bit of skills. You had a little bit of experience. Okay, so you put those two together. And most people have that.
Yeah.
But what they really are missing is the belief that they can do it, or the courage to take the leap, or the support.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the belief came out of an absolute probably panic. So now you're peeling back an onion a little bit. It's the panic of if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like, what the fuck? Like, how come I can't clear my head? Like, how come I have, and at any given time, year to year, whoever I was working for, I'm only thinking about them. I'm thinking about that next phone call. I'm thinking about, and I was so competitive, like if I closed one deal, I'd already be working, trying to close another one. Like there was zero balance, zero. And so it was more of just like, is this just going to continue? Because if this continues, I couldn't live with, like if I was my wife, I wouldn't live with me. If I was my sons, I wouldn't look up to me. Like big deal that we have the things that we have.
Material things.
It didn't literally mean anything.
Yeah.
I was just going too hard. Like, and as I was going that hard, none of it was fulfilling because I didn't enjoy 1 second of it. Not 1 second.
Wow.
And so I think it was more of just like, we have to do this or else type thing. And we were a basketball family. So my wife she fell in love with basketball because we were in love with basketball. And then I started involving her. So when we did make the move, she started taking over like all the logistics. She started taking over all of like the registrations, the relationships with the families, all of that. And still till this day, like we don't even have online sign up. Everything has to be done through my wife. And again, we're arguably the largest player development business in the country. And everything is done relationship based. Yeah. It's wild. And so she's heavily involved. It was her idea for us to build and create our foundation 4 years ago. She runs that. And that's been an absolute game changer. We talk about things that keep you awake at night and wake you up in the morning. It's the foundation to us now. And she's been a huge part of it. So I think the the main thing that helped with the confidence, to circle back to that, was that buy-in from Kareen, from my wife.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, let's do this, and let's do it together. And it was the first time, and if she was sitting here, I would say it was the first time in our marriage that on the business side that we had ever done anything together. Everything was just me providing.
Yeah.
And she was a stay-at-home mom and killing it, doing that. And then I was, even when we started like the business and everything at the beginning, I was trying to do everything and have my hands on everything. And as soon as she started taking over and taking charge of all of this area, our business took off because, she's an angel. Like, if you guys ever met her, like, she's unbelievable. And that's the parents, the players, everyone absolutely love her. So
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest thing for us on that move.
Yeah.
Is my wife.
I love that.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody watching who's feeling that burnout moment, like they haven't hit the tipping point to make a decision yet, what questions are you asking yourself in that moment to really get to being able to make a decision, and then have the courage to, if they're married, have a partner, go have that conversation to get the support? Like, how do you identify that? Because I think there's a lot of guys now, we're so caught up, you scroll and it's like the cars, the house, like you're constantly pursuing the next title. Then, how do you pull yourself out of it enough to actually
you just get caught in
up
that.
in it before you?
And one of the things, Regina, one of the things she says, which I love, is she's like, if you don't change it, you choose it. And I think, to your point, so many people want to make a change, but they don't. So they're inherently choosing it because they don't know what questions to ask themselves.
So is there a first step or a question that you can recommend or even reflect on to come to the conclusion, like, oh shit, yeah, maybe I'm not even happy? Is it what might it be for you?
Hey guys, Mink here, and I want to take a quick break from the conversation to tell you about our sponsor, Live Bearded. Spence and I started Live Bearded in 2016, and our mission from day one has been simple. We want to help beardsmen look, feel, and be their best, both with their grooming and in life. And with that, that's one of the reasons why we started the Beardsmen, because we love having these conversations about what it means to be a man today. So if you have a beard, if you want to participate in this conversation and you want to look and feel your best, go to livebearded.com, check out our products. I guarantee you will love them. And if you don't, we've got a 365-day money-back guarantee. But I promise you will. So check us out, livebearded.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, well, I think for people that are watching, I think the number one thing is if there is a passion or they see themselves doing something different, is the work has got to kind of crank up before it gets easier. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, it's up to them to go out and interview people and to talk to people and to, like, find out, like, if you want to make some type of change in your life. Let's say on the business side, you're looking at something over here. I don't recommend to anyone to just go and make that change or even just keep it internally or whatnot. Like, like some of the stuff that I didn't share is like, yeah, we went out and, like, I talked to multiple player development coaches in California, like, how is their business doing and what have you done and what have you experienced and, what are the mistakes and the successes that you had. So I think you have to go out there and you have to, like, figure out especially if you have a family. I mean, if you're flying solo right now, take risks. Like, just like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
I mean,
less
as long as
downside.
you're confident in yourself and that you can land somewhere softly, like you're fine. But as soon as you have a wife, as soon as you have 2 kids, that's a different story, right? Like, so you're trying to weigh everything. We had some money set aside and, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a risk. We didn't see it we never talked about financial because we always just looked at it as like, well, let's just spend less. So let's just get rid of 2 cars. Let's just downsize to 1 car to start out. Let's instead of having like a big giant house and stuff, like let's move into something a little smaller and let's grow it. Just no different than what you guys did with this company and the story that you shared earlier with me. So yeah, I think, yeah, as far as internal questions that you have to ask yourself, it's like, when are you most happy? Like, and then, okay, is it 5 minutes a day doing something? How do I stretch it to 10 minutes a day? How do I stretch it to an hour? And then I just so happen to stretch it to, it's my life now. And I literally, one, I won't do anything, business or otherwise, that I'm just not enjoying. I'm just at a point in my life, like I just won't do it. I also won't spend any time with anyone that I don't want to spend time with. Like, so, and that's helped me in business too now. So when I travel, like I'm in 12 to 15 countries a year, it's typically repeat countries and repeat people that I'm working with. Like you guys asked me what I'm doing here. I'm working with Valley Hoopers, and like the most incredible husband-wife duo that's put this program together. And they remind me a lot of my wife and I when we first started putting our program together. And so I just feel an obligation to pour fuel on the fire and help them build this. And so now we're out here for a second time. So yeah, it just so happened to, I went from a few hours at night to 8 hours a day to 4 different businesses that are all in the basketball world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Do us a favor and brag about those a little bit. Like you've said, you've got one of the biggest training programs. How many people do you coach with? What types of people do you coach with?
We have approximately 300 to 350 players, athletes a week that come through our training program. It's called RTM Basketball Training. Ryan and Taylor are 2 point guards that I trained when they were young, and they're kind of the first 2 players I was training. Both of them would have ran through a wall at any point if I told them, and they both highly successful and married, kids, everything in Southern California, own businesses, and they both played pro. And so when we started that business, this is what I wanted to call it, and was for Nolan, my son that was up and coming. The next one is the Willett Basketball Foundation. We moved back from California 7 years ago, and my Instagram was at that time just starting to build. Maybe it was like 40, 50,000 at the time or whatever it might be. And I was starting to get DMs back in the city that we're in now and the business was like, it was growing pretty quick when we came back. So we had a big business in Canada, moved to California, grew a big business, came back, started it again. But it was easier to start because I had a lot of relationships and there was like a lot of college players and stuff wanted to get in and met some great people that owned clubs that supported basketball training and whatnot. And one of the challenges that I felt for the first couple years that we had come back is I kept getting these DMs. And I know people say, I always get asked and stuff, and that's cliche. I was getting DMs on a weekly basis. Can I come train with you? Oh yeah, no, for sure. Here's my wife's contact info. She handles all of our payment and scheduling. Oh, we have no money. Like I don't have the money. Or it would be like I'm saving up for one private session. We got kids coming in 4 or 5 days a week. And there's kids over here in the same city we live in that are saying they're saving up money to come in once, to train once with me. Because at the time I was sponsored by Adidas Canada, and like I was a decent deal like in the country for training. And I think kids, just part of it was they wanted to just come in and feel what it felt like to train from someone that came from the US. And for 2 years we said no. And the reason we were saying no is because of $100 and some thousand a year in court costs at the time, trainers' costs, like all of it. And so we couldn't just fill the court with kids that couldn't afford to play. But at the same time, a lot of those kids were me when I was a kid. They had no money. They were like broke, but hardworking, athletic, all of it. And they're sitting right there wanting to be trained. And the only thing that's stopping them is money. And so it was my wife that started doing some research on nonprofits and whatnot. And about 6 months into it, she put it all together, and we got a marketing company to put everything together for us so that we could go out to corporations, tell the story of what was happening in our city. Can you take a year off from giving your money to hockey this year, and can you give it to basketball? Because we're in a hockey country that it's very easy to give some marketing money to hockey. And it's just continued to grow each year. And so last year, I think we were around 55, 56 athletes that we fully scholarshiped.
That's
So,
amazing.
and when we
incredible.
say fully scholarship, that means those athletes are anywhere from 7th grade to 12th grade, where they're coming in 4 or 5 days a week. There's accountability. Every quarter, we need to know what their grades are. So we have communication with their club, the prep school owners, whatever it might be. We have had situations where we've had to put it on hold until certain things in the classroom were fixed. And the kids, the parents, everyone appreciates that accountability. I think the last 3 years, 60 university college scholarships out of our foundation,
That's amazing.
which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea here is to grow it more in our own city, then take it out and share what we've done with other cities and then other countries. And we do sometimes, like say if we're flying to Spain or wherever it might be to train, as we're doing the camp, I'll ask the question, is there a handful of kids that can't afford it? Our foundation can step in and they can take care of that piece as well. So we want it to be an international thing, but right now it's relatively small, but we're still learning how to do it properly. And again, it turns into a pumpkin every year. Like the funding from each corporation that gives, it's for an annual basis. So then my wife goes back to companies and we share it with the families too. Like some families, they own businesses and whatnot. And so this way it's an opportunity for them to have some of their marketing dollars go to like an incredible cause.
Yeah.
We track every player, everything, every success. And, at the beginning, I'll end with this on the foundation. At the beginning, I was very worried about like giving names of the kids because I'm like, when I was a kid, like I was probably a little bit like, I was hiding that I didn't have money.
Embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
embarrassed by it.
I was big time.
Yeah, like I'd wear the same sweats all the time, but like I know people notice, but like, things like that. So I was very careful with it. I think once it was presented properly, once we started talking to the athletes more about, if just Nolan and I and my wife share this story and our other 2 trainers, David and Matthew, if we just share what we're doing, it's going to grow maybe like organically a little bit. If you guys tell the story, what this has meant to you, what this environment, this safe environment to come in here and put work in with people that truly care and know that there's a community supporting you, then, we can create inertia from this and we can really grow and make a difference. And your little brothers and sisters and so on can be helped from this. So that's, I think, been the turning point. Now it's not nowhere near where we want it to be, but it's only year 4. So.
Progress.
Yeah.
It's
That's
sick.
amazing.
100%.
Yeah. You've mentioned your wife multiple times in that relationship. You guys were voted to be most
High school
likely to get
sweethearts.
married.
In the yearbook.
I mean, that is so rare in the world today.
Crazy.
35 years. Like, I'm single. You're married a couple years now. What, tell us a little bit about that story and how have you stayed, how do you stay married for 35
Through
years?
the stress,
How do
the
you-
long days, the late nights, the weekends, the
All of
travel,
it.
the working together. I mean, there's a lot there.
All of
35
it.
years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say communication and again, that's cliche, but I can't actually say that one enough.
Yeah.
Like even to a point, like I did a post, I don't know, like a month ago or something. And I kind of like, I gave like more information about myself than I ever have on social media in that post. And in there, I talked about like being able to open up because I was one of these guys, to be honest, like if you would have caught me like at age 27 or 33 or whatever, it's like just I was not even the right guy to cut off in traffic. I had a short fuse. And by the way, that's not hereditary. I used to think it was. That's just being pissed off and not happy, like those types of things. But I remember like different moments in time in my life, it was always my wife sitting me down and saying, what's going on? Before there was mental health stuff. It's just what's happening. Like, why do you have a short fuse here? Or why are you being short with the boys on this? Or why are you not happy at work or whatever? She has not stopped asking me about myself since we got married. Yeah, but
love
like
that.
it's
amazing.
so selfless. Like
Yeah.
it's so unbelievable.
yeah.
Like it's unbelievable that like there's no way I just feel like even in high school, like I was kind of an asshole. Like I was like, it was before it wasn't cool to like bully a bit, and I was a bit of an ass. Like, and once I met her in 12th grade, she was in 11th grade, and we started dating. Like, man, everything just changed. Like, not completely overnight, but just like even going to her house and having dinner and seeing like what that dinner felt like and what people coming over to her house and visiting. And, you know, the first few months I'd go down in the basement because I was overwhelmed. Like, I think she just has been a built-in best friend, built-in lover, built-in psychologist, built-in savior. And like, and if you were to ask me, if you said, okay, I got 2 tickets for you right now to go to Vegas for 4 nights, wherever you want to stay, whatever you want to do, I'm taking Crane all day long.
Love that.
100% all day long. And I love hanging out with the boys and whatnot, but she's absolutely number one.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then even like we got married young, obviously. And like I said earlier, our house was filled with my college buddies, and it was her idea. It's like, bring everyone in, So she's been an incredible wife, mother, everything. And now she's just, I think the icing on the cake for me and where the relationship went to another level that I didn't think it could go to is when she started getting so involved in the business. To me, it's almost like, for lack of a better term, it's like a turn on. Like, it's like, but to see my wife take charge and run companies, and I just sit back, I'm like, this is unbelievable.
She does it all.
Yeah.
She does it all.
Yeah.
Does she still ask all the questions, and is that continuing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, we talked about our father passed like 5 years ago. And, unfortunately, it was a situation where like he was on life support, and I was in the room, and they take him off, and he lasted almost 2 hours, like off life support. And it was, I thought it was a tough dude, man. Like you watch that and it brings back like all the good, the bad, the everything in your life. And I have not been able to shake that. Like, and she has helped, like, it's night and day now. Like, to a point, like if there was like a show on and there's that beep sound, and like it was tough for me. I had to leave the room. Right now I sit through it and she talks, and like there'll be a time where she'll bring up positive things about my pops and stuff. And, so she's checking me still every day, and I do the same for her.
It's so important. People say like, don't stop dating your wife. Like, keep it fun. That's so true. But it's also like, to your point about asking questions, because my wife is very similar. I swear she knew more about me on our first date than like previous girlfriends, because she asked so many like deep, real questions. And we evolve and change so much over time. Like, the man you are today is so different than when you guys met. And so she doesn't keep asking those questions. So it's such a good reminder to ask the questions of your friends, of your spouse, to continue to get to know them, because we're constantly evolving and changing.
It's crazy, because after almost, like, it's 35 years, July 7th, and we have always gone out. One of our most favorite things to do is just go out for a happy hour, go out for dinner, and go out with another couple or whatever it might be. And even like a lot of our travel, she probably comes to at least half the international trips with me. She picks and chooses. Like, we have a little dog and stuff, so we can't leave it like on every trip. But like, she's coming to Spain in a few weeks with me, and as well, and Nolan's fiance as well. But like, we're the couple at dinner that we don't stop talking. Like, we're talking the whole time, and she'll notice a couple maybe next to us that maybe she'll be like, they didn't say a word to each other like the whole time.
You look over and they're both like,
exactly. it is wild that we still have stuff to talk about
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
you know, but we've just created like a lot of similar interests. And then we've also created a lot of things that I'm interested in. Like I'm into like astrophysics and stuff. Like it's just something that I kind of picked up about 3 years ago, and I love science and everything. And I tried talking to her about this stuff, and like she's not having it.
Not that
Like
one,
she'll
babe.
openly like she's like
Shut
like
it down.
I'm not having it right now, like or whatever. So we'll kind of joke around about that. And I mean, she runs a lot, and like I'm not trying to run, so so we both have our own things. So,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
That reminds me of this conversation I had. I was like 21, 22. I just moved to Arizona, and I was like trying to just figure out like, what am I going to do? You know?
Yep.
So I met this guy, and he was a business owner. And I was like, oh, can I take you to lunch or buy you coffee or like, and so we sit down, and he's like, so are you married? Do you have kids? And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like 21 years old.
Right.
And he's like, I get it. And he was about 55. He's like, you're a young guy. Like, you're just getting your start. And he's like, this is the best advice I could give you. It doesn't matter how good you are by yourself. The right woman will make you better than you could ever be.
Well said.
So true. So
And
true.
I mean, it's like burned into me because I was literally 21, single. I'm still single for you know, obviously different things. But hearing that story, it's like it brought me right back to that moment, because the way you explained it is like, you were a badass that was competitive, that got shit done,
Yeah.
and she just amplified.
Yeah.
She made you better than you could
Yeah.
ever be.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to not fall into the trap of like that your identity is the two of you, just the two of you, because I think that can be done. Like it's like we're two separate people, but we make each other better people and better individuals. And when you are together, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I love that,
for
man.
sure. Absolutely.
I love that.
And also nowadays it's like people are getting married at like a lot, not at 21 anymore.
A little
that's
later.
for sure.
A little later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like actually Nolan, like our youngest is 27. He just recently got engaged, and that almost like feels like young nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have the conversation, to talk to you, to have the opportunity to meet. And I got to say, you know, like the way that you are leading young men makes me inspired, because I feel like there's a lot of young men in the world today that are lost. They don't know how to be young men. They don't know what it means to be a man. There's a lot of fatherless homes, maybe more than there ever has been in recent history. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to just have this conversation. That's, you know, when we started Live Bearded, we used to say, how do we love on some bearded dudes today?
Yeah.
Like, how do we uplift them? How do we encourage them? How do we make their day better? And that's really what built this entire idea, is like, how do we just make guys' days better? You know, and when we started, we literally sat in my living room and we were like, okay, if we're going to do this, how do we make it different? Because it's just grooming products. And it was new, and it was like there wasn't a lot of them 9 years ago. So we were ahead of the whole kind of grooming market. But at the end of the day, we had enough awareness to be like, what can we do that's different? And from day one, it was like, well, we've been friends for 10 years at that point. If I was going to sell you something, I would want to make sure you love it no matter what. And And so we literally were like, let's just build it around this idea of how do we treat everybody like a friend or a brother? And then just allow that to continue to keep going. And how do we go out to customers and do this thing? And that, I think, for both of us has created a soft spot around the experience of being a man and what that looks like. And you see the world today and like how confusing and all the different chaos that there is. I like to just chalk a lot of it up as like the fuckery of the world, you know? And that's a long-winded way of saying it's been a pleasure to chat. And I think you have shared some incredible wisdom with us today. And I'm encouraged to know that there's men out there like you leading other young men. It's really powerful.
I appreciate that. And can I finish off with something?
I was going to ask you to, please.
I contacted originally you guys.
Okay.
And when I first, and it's funny because social media can be a very powerful tool, and it can be nonsense as well. Like it can be too much, but it brought us here. And the first thing I saw, I don't know if it was like how I saw you guys, like I'd be lying if I said the exact day and time. I just remember getting to you guys' page and scrolling and not seeing really anything about, and there was stuff about beard products, but I wasn't interested. I was so drawn to the people involved and what they were saying and the community, because I just started growing a beard like 4 or 5 years ago, and just started growing it like I'd grow it about your length for a while,
Yep.
but never long. And then once I started growing it, it's like all of a sudden you're walking down the street and someone's like, they're part of the community. It's like, oh, okay. And then I noticed like there is this community, but I hadn't really seen like a page like yours and a group like yours that are actually like, when it's broken, feature it. Like this is a challenge in the world. Like no one is coming together and actually not only celebrating men and men with beards, but also like actually being real and like breaking down and like being okay with it and like toughing it out and really pouring their feelings out. And so I'm going through the page, and you're talking about business, you're talking about all of these different things, but beards. As I'm watching all of this, and then I'm seeing the residual is there's these products. And so it was literally the second day or third day of me just going back to the page again and seeing if you guys posted anything else that you were just talking. And then I just finally went to the website and was like, oh, it said they got a great, I just thought that was such like a interesting introduction for myself that I was excited about the brand because of who you guys were. Mm-hmm. And because like you said, it's just beard products. They're damn good ones, probably the best in the industry. But it's like, who's selling them? Who's putting them together? What's their story? And do I want to be a part of that over here? And the benefit is, it smells good, it feels good, it's unbelievable. And again, that comb, which is pretty awesome. So I appreciate you guys just as much, if not more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can people follow you at? Where can they?
On Instagram, it's bballwillett.
Yeah.
And our foundation is Willett Basketball Foundation. So we got 2 pages there.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
All right, guys, that's all we got. We still don't have an outro to this thing, so thanks. If you're watching to the end of this, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for
Follow
your
this
support.
guy.
Follow this guy, man. You're making such a big impact.
Actually, I
Appreciate
got
you
one
guys.
final question.
Yeah, please.
I've been wanting to ask this whole time. Okay. Jordan era basketball
Ooh.
Yeah.
or today? Which game style do you like better?
Okay, if you were to ask me that before this playoffs, I'd say 100% 90s basketball.
Okay.
And by the way, like our honeymoon was minor when my wife and I got married, but we saved up, and 2 years later we went to all the qualifying rounds for the Dream Team, the original Dream Team in Portland. So we saw 6 games. So I'm a Jordan fan, like through and through. Watching these playoffs, I feel like this year's playoffs have been the best playoffs that I've seen in 25 years.
Amazing.
And I feel like the 2 teams that are in the championship right now are playing defensively, a 90s style defensive type basketball. And I think it's been an absolute blast to watch. So
Awesome.
so I'm in the middle right
Coming
now.
around, all right,
okay.
But I'm if I could go back to 90s, like, are you kidding?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
All day.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all we got for you.
Thanks, you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Likewise.